when Washington City, the territory of Columbia, as it was known back then, when all the politicians, men of course, came to D.C., they came on their own, without their wives, without their families, so it was just men here. And since it was just men, it was only natural that women followed. You know, women prostitutes converged on D.C. Now, prostitution was not illegal. As a matter of fact, it was legal. It did not become illegal until the war years of between World War I and World War II, mostly for the troops, so they wouldn't develop, sexually transmitted diseases and stuff like that. That's when it was made illegal. But up to that point, prostitution was legal, and brothels and stuff flourished in D.C. As a matter of fact, I write in my book, the first police officer in D.C. that was killed by a madam in Washington. So it was pretty much ingrained in D.C., and so was gambling too. But then when the Civil War broke out, the Union troops suffered a humiliating defeat at the First Battle of Bull Run, which was at the time about 30 miles outside of D.C. It was dangerously close to the capital city. So General McClellan assigned General Joseph Hooker the duties of protecting the city and protecting the president. So when his troops arrived, General Hooker had a reputation of a party guy himself, but his troops really, since they were stationed around the city and weren't really fighting the war, they engaged with the local prostitutes, with gambling, and it got out of hand. So McClellan ordered General Hooker to get his troops under control. So Hooker came up with a pragmatic solution. He decided to use the military police to round up all the prostitutes and put them in a certain area, in one certain area. At the time it had its own name of Murder Bay, but now it's Federal Triangle where all the prostitutes were. So that became Hooker's division. The prostitutes became known as Hooker's division. And the prostitutes themselves were known as Hooker's Brigade. And so that name Hooker just stuck. And so the prostitutes, the women that didn't want to cooperate or be isolated in that area, they were rounded up and actually put on a steamboat and sent to New Jersey. The ironic part is the town of New Jersey was called Love Ladies. So all those women were brought to Love Ladies, New Jersey. I think this town is still there. Now, the one interesting thing about Hooker himself is he was frequenting a madam himself, a Madam Bella Hay, who had her own brothel. The brothel was called a haystack. And so, unbeknownst to Hooker or anybody else at the time, Madam Bella Hay was a spy for the Confederacy. So anything she learned, she passed on to the Confederacy. And after the war, she became quite famous, touring and telling her story on how she was a spy for the South. And then to this day, if you enjoy a roll in the hay, that's where that came from also, from Madam Bella Hay.